Could you speak about empath and loneliness? As an empath, I assume I am one who knows. I tend to push others away and struggle building healthy, lasting relationships and get very confused. 2. What would you say is required to live a healthy human life in the modern world? In the absolute, it seems there is not much needed, but as a complex human personality, are there certain basic needs we need met? Shelter, food, other company, work? Just curious on your thoughts. As always. Thanks, Susan, for your question. Well, I can't say that I've got everything covered on the human level. I'm still working towards that and figuring things out and understanding what it is to be this complex, walking, thinking monkey. I can give you some inspiration to think about. I find as an empath that I've only just discovered this because I've only just met someone, well, it's been quite a few years now, but met somebody that has the same level of empathy as me. And I didn't realize how important that is for an empath to be in relationship with an empath. Normally empaths, very strong empaths, end up in relationships with people that don't have any empathy because it really suits that person without any empathy. And they will pursue people without any empathy. So they'll pursue empaths. And like I've had boyfriends with some empathy before, but very little, to be honest. And now I'm in a relationship with somebody that has empathy, and what a difference that makes. The fundamental difference that it makes is that I trust them. And I wasn't really conscious in the past that was so important. Like, not trust, just trust them. I trust them to make the good, honest decision, even if they screw up or make mistakes or do stupid things. Like, I trust them on the ultimate level to act out of compassion and heart. And I didn't realize how important that was for an empath. Like, I always used to find humans and my intimate relationships, like, people too hard, and it used to hurt me that they were so hard. And I didn't realize the importance of that. So that is something that has really worked for me. And it's taken me many years to distinguish that because of the way I look, and is that I've tended to be hunted by men that have less empathy, that are very strong in what they wanted and very clear directions. Not all without empathy, but with less empathy, a lot less empathy than me. And for me, it's super important to have someone at that level. And I think if the empaths aren't balanced, they could be a nightmare together. Like, if they're emotionally unbalanced, then they can get themselves into a lot of stress. There can too much emotion. So there has to be understanding in the empath. But yeah, I do think that there needs to be a sense of safety, a sense of security on the human level, shelter, direction. Like in India, so some of the like pioneers of non-duality or Buddhism, they were actually homeless. And I do think there's a beauty in that, in being homeless and not having all these material possessions, because it does take a lot of work to maintain all these material possessions. But in India, it's always acceptable to be a homeless sadhu, whereas we don't have that in the West. So there isn't there isn't that opportunity to be a homeless and to put out your bowl for food and for people to feed you and for people to give you respect in that way. So there's more emphasis on having homes and doing the material life. But I do think these things are important on the human level. On the absolute level, nothing is important. All that's important is this moment. And it's recognizing that, like, that's fundamental, that you can be in prison, that you can be in hell, that you can have no food, all these things, but there is this deep freedom that's looking out, that's never disturbed. So most people in our society have forgotten that part, and there's a disconnect from that. So it's remembering that and looking from that place. But on the human level, the body is always going to be trying to move towards home, safety, food, relationships. Like, we are community animals. So all these positive things. And, learning psychology and learning philosophy and understanding humanity will help you, and has helped me, understanding my place in the society and what works best for me. Like, it's doing things that I enjoy, so being creative. So all these very fundamental teachings that we've learned actually from our parents and in stories and in fables, just these very basic things, like doing something that you enjoy, putting that over money. But also, if you're very on the poverty line, that will be stressful for you. Exercise, relationships where you can connect. If you're an empath, then you more than likely need other empaths. Family, all these different things. People that understand you, that you can relate to. A sense of community, and more than likely not religion, but a sense of connection to the divine, whether it be through nature or through music or through religion. Like, you can have spiritual practices and know that that's not going to lead you anywhere, but just have that sense of the divine, like playing in your life. It's kind of all the basic things that everyone's always taught you. Okay, so that's the second part. So now let's go back to empathy and loneliness. Yeah, so I would say that the emptiness and loneliness, like that will be, that can be helped by having an empathetic partner or friendship. But then loneliness also is a result of not being connected to self. So it's this belief that you are a separate entity, but it also can arise from not being able to connect in conversation, to not being able to connect emotionally. So there is a human dynamic where we can experience loneliness through interaction. But then on the absolute level, like, it's also, loneliness can come because you're seeking for connection, you're seeking for wholeness. And that seeking for wholeness produces a feeling of loneliness, that you're apart, that you're separate, that you're narrow, that you're in relationship to this world. So it's also seeing that there's nothing outside of you, that all of this is all one. Thank you for your question, Susan. That was very nice to have. I enjoyed replying to that. It brought up juice. Juicy, juicy, juicy.